finally, we can now see that Ryan was panicked in general about him being apart from Blake Lively, so much so that when they first communicated with one another.
Lively's complaint accuses Baldoni, who is also the film's director, of creating a hostile work environment and trying to ruin her reputation.
Defendant Blake Lively has unequivocally left them with no choice, not only to set the record straight in response to Lively's accusations, but also to put the spotlight.
Justin says that Blake was determined to make him the real-life villain in her story.
I can also tell you personally, back when I was an intern at Glamour magazine, working under an editor, she said the most difficult person that she has ever worked with and the rudest person that she had ever worked with was Blake Lively.
Well, brace yourselves, because the internet is having a full-blown meltdown over a rumor that Marvel has decided to replace Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool with none other than Justin Baldoni. Yes, you heard that right. The man who turned Deadpool into a global phenomenon might be getting the boot, and apparently, he didn't see it coming. According to the online outrage machine, Reynolds is losing it, which is exactly the kind of drama social media thrives on. Meanwhile, Marvel remains suspiciously silent, letting the rumor mill run wild with theories ranging from secret studio deals to full-on Hollywood betrayals. For years, the idea of anyone but Reynolds slipping into Deadpool's iconic red suit was unthinkable. He didn't just play the role, he was the character, blending his signature sarcasm with the anti-hero's fourth wall-breaking antics. The first film's massive success, followed by an equally profitable sequel, only reinforced the idea that Reynolds and Deadpool were a package deal.
And weirdly, 1 hour later, I had our pitch with Kevin Feige and all the Marvel people, and Sean and I were gonna tell them that we're gonna punt for a year or two and come back to this later when we all have like a clearer head and stuff. So on that Zoom with those guys, we just pivoted and literally made up out of thin air the story of Deadpool and Wolverine, which is actually what we ended up. Sometimes when you're just so full of and you go with it, you end up actually kind of hitting the bullseye.
So naturally, the idea of recasting has fans demanding answers. Enter Justin Baldoni, best known for TV dramas and directing heartfelt indie flicks. If the whispers are true, Marvel's decision stems from a tangled web of behind-the-scenes politics, possible contract disputes, and the ever-popular Hollywood power struggle. At first, fans dismissed it as nonsense, but when social media started buzzing about confirmed talks between Marvel and Baldoni, the conspiracy theories exploded. Allegedly, secret meetings have already taken place, and a deal might even be in place, just waiting for the perfect moment to drop the ultimate bombshell. What's most shocking isn't just the claim that Ryan Reynolds is out, it's that he supposedly had no clue it was coming. According to various unverified sources, the internet's specialty, Reynolds is somewhere between disbelief and full-blown frustration, blindsided by the idea that his signature role was ripped from him after years of being Deadpool's biggest champion. Given his usual cool, sarcastic demeanor, the idea of him losing it feels almost surreal. He's always seemed effortlessly in control, especially when it came to Deadpool. If this rumor is true, it means something hit him hard. But, of course, we have no confirmation. Reynolds has yet to say a word about any of this. As for Justin Baldoni's rumored casting, that just adds another layer of confusion to this bizarre saga. Baldoni, known for heartfelt dramas rather than crude R-rated comedy, would be an interesting shift for the franchise. He's talented, sure, but replacing the master of sarcastic chaos with someone best known for emotional storytelling, that's a twist no one saw coming.
She said, just read it, because I was looking for movies that could be commercial and speak to the human experience. And
were you reading romance novels?
And I had never read a romance novel.
Never?
And she said, just trust me, read it. So I read it, and by the end of the book, I couldn't even read the text on the page because I was crying so much. My wife was in bed next to me, and she's, I got snot coming out of my nose.
The internet is already buzzing with theories. Does this mean Marvel wants to tone down Deadpool's signature edge? Or is Baldoni planning to shock everyone by proving he can go full merc with a mouth? One popular guess? Marvel, now firmly under Disney's grip, might be rebranding Deadpool to fit more smoothly into their ever-growing superhero empire. That could mean softening his rough edges. And what better way to do that than with a fresh, more wholesome face? Another theory suggests behind-the-scenes legal drama, with whispers of contractual loopholes that may have forced Marvel's hand. Some claim Reynolds' frustration stems from the studio pulling a technicality that allows them to recast if certain conditions weren't met. The problem? No one seems to know which conditions were supposedly triggered, leaving fans to debate whether this whole thing is just a giant misunderstanding, or if we're missing a critical piece of the puzzle.
It's believing that people and humanity are inherently good. And they crave nutritious food in their soul, just as they do in their bodies.
As if the internet wasn't already in full meltdown mode, fan reactions to Baldoni's rumored casting have only added fuel to the fire. Some praise his sincerity, dedication, and storytelling chops, arguing that he could bring a fresh, unexpected twist to Deadpool's world. Others, not so much. Hardcore Reynolds loyalists are practically foaming at the mouth, questioning whether Baldoni has the comedic timing or the overwhelming fan support to step into such an iconic role. The online debate has split into two factions, those open to change and those who see this as nothing short of cinematic treason. Some fans are even threatening to boycott any future Deadpool films if Reynolds isn't leading the charge. Then there's the bigger picture, how Deadpool fits into the ever-expanding Marvel Cinematic Universe. With multiverse madness, endless cameos, and a revolving door of superheroes, the franchise is prime real estate for Deadpool's signature meta-humor. And let's be real, few actors can wield that kind of wit like Reynolds. Losing him could mean missing out on the perfect comedic counterbalance to Marvel's usual hero tropes. But the pro-Baldoni camp argues that a fresh face could bring new comedic layers, mixing humor with emotional depth. After all, superhero recasts have happened before. Sometimes they work, sometimes they flop. Yet for all the chaos, here's the kicker. No solid evidence exists that Baldoni has actually signed on, and no proof confirms Reynolds has been booted. The information vacuum has allowed wild speculation, like Reynolds losing it, to take on a life of its own. The phrase alone paints a dramatic picture of behind-the-scenes clashes, regardless of whether any of it is remotely true.
It's based on a beautiful, really important book, and it's about a young woman named Lily who confronts the generational cycles in her life and breaks them and ends the circle. And I hope people find it inspiring, and yet also, it's a film about a heavy topic. It's about domestic violence.
Without official confirmation, the rumor thrives on pure fan emotion, equal parts excitement and sheer panic at the thought of Deadpool heading into unknown territory with a brand new face. One question looms large. If this rumor is nonsense, why hasn't Ryan Reynolds shut it down? He's usually quick to engage with fans, especially when it comes to Deadpool. His silence, a blank canvas for speculation. Maybe he's contractually muzzled. Maybe he's waiting for Marvel to speak first. Or maybe, just maybe, he's sitting back, watching the chaos unfold and taking notes on the public's reaction. Some even believe the whole thing is an elaborate marketing ploy, with Reynolds and Marvel cooking up a viral stunt that could culminate in a cheeky promo where he and Baldoni duel for the Deadpool crown, only to reveal, surprise, surprise, that Reynolds isn't going anywhere. Of course, the simplest explanation might be that the meltdown narrative is wildly exaggerated. Hollywood negotiations are high-stakes games, and minor disputes can quickly snowball into full-blown online hysteria. Industry insiders point out that whenever a billion-dollar franchise is involved, tensions run high, and secrecy is the norm. If talks are ongoing, both Reynolds and Marvel are likely playing their cards close to the vest, while impatient fans and opportunistic rumor mills fill the void with dramatic twists that may or may not have any basis in reality. Then there's the real head-scratcher. Why Baldoni? He's not exactly the go-to choice for Deadpool speculation. If Marvel wanted a more traditional pick, someone like Taron Egerton, who already has comedic action chops, would have been the obvious name floating around. The fact that Baldoni's name keeps coming up suggests this rumor was either deliberately crafted or, if there's truth to it, part of a very calculated Marvel decision. This has only fueled fears that Deadpool is being rebranded into something tamer, perhaps nudged toward a PG-13 makeover to better fit Disney's pristine portfolio. Predictably, fans are not thrilled by that possibility. Meanwhile, self-proclaimed insiders on fan forums insist the recasting is a done deal. Some claim Reynolds was blindsided after rejecting last-minute script revisions tied to Marvel's E-Team, expanding cinematic universe. Others say it was all about money. The more dramatic version, Reynolds felt stabbed in the back after spending years championing Deadpool, leading to the now infamous losing it rumor. A smaller but vocal group flips the script, arguing that Reynolds left on his own terms, forcing Marvel to scramble for a last-minute replacement. Yet, For all the noise, major entertainment news outlets have remained conspicuously silent, leaving the internet to spiral into its own chaos.
And being frank, if it were not for women giving me direct feedback in my own personal life and being a man who was willing to at least listen to them, there's no chance that I would be having this conversation. So the message, to answer your questions, the message is very simple. As men, we need to embrace all of the parts of us that make us human. That's it. It's very simple.
Beyond the endless rabbit hole of rumor threads, the general public remains caught between disbelief and mild panic. Casual moviegoers who don't live and breathe Marvel updates assume Reynolds is a lock for Deadpool. So when they hear whispers about Justin Baldoni stepping in, their first reaction is confusion. Some have taken a more lighthearted approach, flooding the internet with memes imagining a softer, more poetic Deadpool delivering heartfelt monologues instead of sharp-edged sarcasm. Others, to their credit, are open to seeing if Baldoni can pull off a surprise. But the deeper you wade into dedicated fan communities, the more intense the battle lines become. Many refuse to even consider a Deadpool that isn't powered by Reynolds' signature comedic rhythm. At this point, the most dramatic pieces of the rumor are Reynolds' supposed meltdown and the claim that Marvel has confirmed Baldoni as his replacement. Clickbait headlines screaming, "Marvel confirms Justin Baldoni as new Deadpool" have spread like wildfire, despite the glaring fact that no official Marvel statement or studio-backed post actually exists. This is the internet at its finest, where unchecked claims multiply through sheer repetition. People see a flashy headline, assume it must be true, and share it without verifying sources. Before long, entire fan communities are convinced the decision is final and that Reynolds is somewhere throwing furniture. If and when Marvel decides to weigh in, they have two options: drop a bombshell and make the rumors reality, or shut them down with a simple statement like, "Ryan Reynolds remains an essential part of the Marvel family, and we can't wait for his next Deadpool adventure." If it's the latter, the internet will likely breathe a collective sigh of relief, and this whole saga will be written off as yet another viral hoax. But if Marvel does confirm Baldoni's casting, expect a storm, either a furious backlash or a surprising wave of support, signaling a major shift in superhero fandom. It could reignite debates over the franchise's direction, Disney's influence, and whether star power still trumps corporate decision-making. Either way, the internet is going to have thoughts.
I'm honored, and I'm also more honored that because, what we're talking about is so important and so meaningful, that we're able to have this much anticipation, and so many people want to go see it and are talking about it. That's what I'm grateful for.
And you had a key part in bringing it to the big screen. How did this all come to be?
Well, in 2019, I read the book. I was sent the book by my book agent and friend at the time, and I was looking for films that could inspire, that were commercially viable, but also could really reach in and touch somebody's heart.
Until Marvel actually says something, we're left sifting through a mess of conflicting claims. Some fans hold on to hope that this is just an elaborate prank or a massive misunderstanding. Others are bracing for what they see as the worst case scenario: Reynolds out, Baldoni in, and a very different future for Deadpool. Even those open to new casting choices can't shake the nagging concern that they're about to lose the razor-sharp humor that made the franchise a hit. Sure, Baldoni might bring something fresh, but does Marvel really want to fix something that wasn't broken? Some speculate that if Baldoni is the new Deadpool, the transition might at least be handled with a meta twist. Given Deadpool's fourth wall-breaking style, the film could acknowledge the recasting head-on, maybe even feature a full-blown showdown between Reynolds and Baldoni. Turning the controversy into a self-referential gag would be right in line with Deadpool's playbook. But would that be enough? For some fans, no amount of witty humor can mask the disappointment of losing Reynolds in the role he made legendary. There's also the angle that Baldoni's potential casting could be about representation. Supporters argue that Marvel might be making a statement by choosing an actor known for his advocacy and inclusive ideals. In theory, that could lead to a Deadpool that keeps the humor but adds a modern, socially aware twist. The real question? Whether die-hard fans who love Deadpool's raw, unfiltered comedy would embrace this shift or see it as a fundamental change to the character. After all, Deadpool thrives on subversion, not feel-good messaging. At the heart of this entire firestorm is the audience's deep attachment to Reynolds' take on Deadpool. The idea that he was blindsided or outright furious only adds another juicy layer of Hollywood drama. And let's be honest, high-stakes industry shakeups don't usually happen without carefully orchestrated statements and negotiations. Wild rumors about secret meetings and emotional breakdowns tend to be, well, exaggerated. But the internet loves a spectacle, and the thought of Reynolds losing it over a dramatic recasting has all the makings of an irresistible viral saga.
So you have something of Gigi's in the movie.
Yeah, it's like a wedding, like something old, something borrowed, something blue, something new.
Wait, which
except
one?
it's just-
Now I want to think of the scene.
Oh, I'm wearing her stuff all over it.
Oh, really?
Tons of like Bodhi, which is with the suit now that I'm
Cute.
wearing is Bodhi. It was meant for my husband, but I borrowed
that's
it.
his suit?
It was meant for him to wear, but it's so pretty. Look at it. You guys are not getting it in the shot.
For now, Marvel and Reynolds remain tight-lipped, fueling endless speculation. If the rumor turns out to be nonsense, fans will breathe a collective sigh of relief, and this whole saga will be yet another case study in how fast misinformation spreads. But if Baldoni is stepping into Deadpool's boots, the Marvel Cinematic Universe could be looking at one of its biggest shakeups in years. Those who have grown accustomed to Reynolds' perfect comedic timing will have to decide whether to embrace a new take or forever lament what could have been. Meanwhile, the internet is still a war zone of so-called leaks, insider scoops, and desperate wishful thinking. With no official statement from Marvel, Reynolds, or Baldoni, the rumor thrives in a perfect storm of uncertainty. The idea that Reynolds is furious, whether over creative disputes, contract drama, or just sheer betrayal, continues to fuel online chaos. Until someone with actual authority speaks up, fans will keep obsessing over every supposed insider tidbit, forgetting that in the age of viral speculation, even the wildest stories can take on a life of their own. If an official confirmation does come, it could mark the end of an era. Reynolds is Deadpool to millions, and his portrayal isn't just a fan favorite, it's box office gold. Whether Baldoni or anyone else can replicate that success is a massive question mark, and that uncertainty is exactly why this rumor won't die. In the absence of facts, one thing remains true. Deadpool, as always, is unpredictable. Whether it's Reynolds delivering another round of razor-sharp wisecracks, or Baldoni taking the character in an entirely new direction, the road ahead won't be boring. And if the whole furious Ryan Reynolds saga turns out to be nothing more than internet exaggeration, at least it proved one thing: fans really don't want to let him go.